Hi, and welcome to another StackUp. I'm Charlie O'Donnell with Broken Bridge Ventures, and I have Julia from LiveRamp, who is joining us from a very sunny indoor spot on the West Coast, but she is forever a New York startup person in my mind because I met her when she was working at a first round capital backed New York startup company called Live Intent. And she has taken her B2B marketing chops out to the West Coast, but is willing to share that wisdom with us today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Great to be here.
Cool. So I'm going to get out of your way and let you take over and share what you've got.
Great. Yes, let me get my screen share going. All right. So talking about B2B marketing during quarantine. First wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of marketing at LiveRamp and how it's been going. So these are, a quick breakdown of our overall marketing channels. Email is generally how we keep people engaged, get everybody, make everyone aware, our customers and our prospects aware of what's going on. Field marketing, our events that we sponsor, that we host out to meet prospects in the fields. Content marketing, everything from our from infographics to webinars to white papers. Digital media, we think about using different, DSPs as well as demand ABM platforms and all those types of things to kind of reach our targets out on the web. Sponsored programs, we think about these as being anything where we're like kind of co-hosting. So if we're going to work with a publisher to promote a white paper or send a dedicated email or host a webinar, those types of things. Social media, pretty self-explanatory, but definitely have used a mix of paid and earned there. And then paid and organic search, also fairly self-explanatory. And then the STR BDR channel, which I think there's generally a debate, or somewhat of a debate could be internally about is it sales, is it marketing? We think we at LiveRamp, actually, while I've been there, it's the team has moved from marketing into sales. So it's been interesting to kind of see how it's been both ways, but we definitely still think of them as a marketing channel, even if they're no longer officially under the marketing umbrella. So one of the things wanted to point out, if anyone knows about LiveRamp, people generally have heard about Ramp Up. It is our thought leadership brand. We've created a whole brand around providing thought leadership to our ecosystem, and it's generally created events that look like this, which are, I don't know if anyone else is getting stressed out looking at this photo right now, but I am a little bit. So just wanted to impress upon like how much this was a part of our marketing. Here is a snapshot of what Ramp Up in 2019 looked like for us. We had 2 giant events with thousands of people. Then we had road shows in smaller cities where we had 50 to 100 to 200 people kind of attending. So this was a huge part of our marketing plan that we basically had to scrap and figure out how to do without. This is kind of how our how our marketing channels look like now. Field marketing went way down in cost, although I will say that we definitely had some deposits that we couldn't get back. And we also end up investing more in our online events. So it's not like our budget went directly to zero, but we've been investing a lot more in some of these other areas to kind of take up the slack that was left behind by not being able to have Ramp Up. So one of the ways that we've done that is this on the air video series. So this is basically a social video series to build awareness when we can't be out in the field. So we've been getting our our executive SMEs. So Annika on the left, she's one of our presidents, and you can see Travis on the right. He's on an SVP. Getting these like really high level folks to record themselves for about a minute, trying not to go too much longer than that, and then putting these snippets out onto LinkedIn and Twitter. And what we're trying to do here is kind of increase the opportunities for thought leadership, kind of continue to build their executive platforms, their like personas out in the market pretty quickly, pretty easily. It wasn't, these things are pretty lightweight. We just kind of would create like a cover slide, splice that into the video, do some light editing, if that, really just the beginning and the end. The hardest part of doing this has been, getting the execs to block the time and actually record. They're perfectionists in a lot of cases, so it can take a lot longer than they, if you're recording a minute video, you think maybe you need 15 minutes. Often they take a lot longer than that. So when we've been thinking about this program, we've been thinking about it in themes, in terms of we've got 3 different themes going of content. And we've also been trying to do it in terms of in batches. So it's not like just put out one video and then get someone to record another one. It's like, let's get a pool of like 5 to 10 videos. So that way we can have a pretty steady drumbeat and just feel good about promoting them successively and all that. Another program we've done is a webinar series. So again, done these like fairly lightweight, but making them conversational. So it's not like so many slides and so much pressure. So again, just trying to build that thought leadership while we can't be out in the field. So I think this series in particular was one where Travis from the previous slide, he was reaching out to like friends of his from the industry and, let's have a conversation on a webinar, keeping it pretty easy and promoting it through email and social. Have seen really good success with people engaging and being able to bring new people into our database, and not just focusing on engaging our current database of folks as well. Sponsored programs. So these are, as I meant, we've been using threw up a bunch of logos of some partners we've worked with on virtual opportunities. We would generally have worked with them in the past for contributed articles and co-sponsoring webinars and events and things like that. But we've really been doubling down here because it's sort of the only thing we can do in a lot of ways. So shifting the budgets towards being able to make sure that we have good coverage in these publications and to their audiences. So, the one thing I would stress here is really I would stress on like testing different audiences and different markets. Like Retail Dive was a new one for us to test recently. Marketing Profs also but in both of those cases, it's a little bit more niche. So Marketing Profs is a B2B audience, which if any of you are B2B marketers, you probably know them. Retail Dive is focused on the retail industry, which like a lot of our customers are retailers, but we haven't really tried them out yet. So it was a good kind of break and a way to diversify, not kind of like oversaturate the audiences of Adweek and Digiday and The Drum, where we generally are in the press and trying to influence as well. So I think for here, Adweek in particular, I'm probably the most familiar with them. Their programs can be really expensive because they've got a great brand and they've got a great audience, but there are other options beyond that, and if you get more niche more niche with what you're looking for, so I suggest trying out different things and seeing what's out there to kind of reach your audience in that way. And couldn't talk about marketing without talking about account-based marketing. So hopefully you guys are all aware of ABM, but basically the general theory is leveraging your account list for your marketing. So at LiveRamp, ABM kind of has underscored everything that we've done back to thinking about those those ramp up roadshows. Like sometimes we would consider doing like a ramp up in Portland if it was like just to hit Nike, for something like that. Like we thought it would, if Nike was a big enough prospect, we could say, let's like stage this event. Hopefully we'll get some other marketers there, but like we're basically doing it and tailoring all the content just so that we will attract, the marketers from Nike to attend. But generally more of account-based marketing is focused on digital marketing and the ways that you can use different platforms to reach your account list or different segments of your account list digitally. So Demandbase and Terminus and Triblio are three different platforms where you can do that. Generally, it's some form of uploading your list, and then they can target for you. They generally have some measurement involved, and they're really great tools as you're getting up and running and just kind of starting with it. They have some analytics involved as well. So it's basically a way, instead of just advertising on Twitter, LinkedIn, or Facebook, where you also have some of those controls, they make it pretty easy as you're starting up marketing online to do it in a way where it feels like you're still targeted and reaching the accounts that you want to reach. I also have to give a shout out to LiveRamp, to myself, I guess, in terms of our B2B capabilities. What we've been building has been really about enabling some of these other platforms, but also giving control back to marketers to kind of to be able to work across any platform and have just kind of have that agnostic point of view. So if you work with Terminus, you're only bidding on one platform. With LiveRamp B2B, you could upload we could work with your account list and send it out to like any of our 500 ecosystem partners. So it gives you more scope, more choice, and then also more transparency in terms of what you're seeing on the back end. The other thing that's really great about LiveRamp B2B is that we have, it leverages our B2B identity graph, which if you have an account list or if you have a contact list, we're able to kind of expand that with our graph. So maybe you just have, my business email address would be, julie@liveramp.com. Feel free to shoot me a note if you want to. But you might only have that, but my email address elsewhere is probably my personal email, which is also pretty easy to spoof, but at the same time, to do that at scale would be really challenging. So LiveRamp B2B has a graph that lets marketers kind of expand their B2B lists and make them more marketable, give you more reach across the internet as you are trying to have your campaigns have the most reach, kind of optimize them and all that good stuff. Another thing we've really been doing during this time has been focusing on nailing the basics. If we're not going to be out in market with like if you think about all the overhead that has to happen for events to happen. So yes, we've had to scramble to kind of get other things going, but what else can we focus on? So we've been really trying to make sure that our foundation is really strong and nail the basics. So some of that has been with audience building. This is a brand new dashboard. I just got it, I think, on Friday, but I'm able to see how many named accounts I have, how many marketable contacts we have, and marketable leads. So, which is really exciting to be able, this is a view into that I can pull up at any time without asking anybody on our marketing ops team or our sales ops team, how many people are on our database. If we want to do a campaign this way, and we have these views for all of our different audiences that we might want to market to, it's a really great starting point to be able to know if a campaign is even viable, like how many named accounts do we have? How many contacts can we actually reach? And what kind of scale will we have there? Another thing we've started using during quarantine has been Engagio. So this has been is also, if you're going to search for ABM platforms, Engagio will probably come up as well. We've been using them more for an analytics perspective. This view is a heat map, which we're really excited about, showing engagement across different, levels at a company and across some of our top target companies as well. So this is something, as we're trying to lean in further into ABM, show top engagement with our target accounts. This is something that is really helpful to kind of give the executive view of how well we're doing in marketing, since at least for us, reaching those kind of director level and above is really important for our sales. So to be able to show that and not just say, oh, we had somebody from Macy's attend, but it's like, oh, we had 500 VPs. That number probably is kind of incorrect. I have to talk to my team about why that might be coming up. But in general, be able to show how we are influencing at the top accounts and at the highest levels of our top accounts, which is super important for our executives. Another thing that we have focused on has been our STR process. So I didn't really know what to show for this, but also hot off the presses for us, we just had a task force that revisited a mostly broken process with the SDR team, and they created a detailed action plan for moving forward. There's some question of still of what is going to make this different than it was before. But again, it's a lot of new people. I don't know if your SDR teams probably have a lot of turnover on them, like ours do. So generally, we've had to remind ourselves of how much education and re-education we have to do, and often, it is brand new people. So that just adds an extra layer of challenge that we need to kind of keep bringing them up to speed over and over again. So this process, I think I would say, is probably expandable to kind of anything in your marketing of, look and see what's not working well and use this time to make it right and or try something new, or, just do anything to try and see if you can optimize and improve while things might be a little bit more, a little bit quieter in other areas, but also while you need this team more than ever, because we do need these one-to-one sales engagements to really drive more and more of our business, given that we can't be out in the field. Again, measurement, more important than ever. I think this is something that I'm believing to be true, as marketing budgets are definitely under siege. And we are, trying to justify the work that we're doing all the time. So I think there's so much you could say about the importance of measurement for marketing, I think, but I pulled up here a quick dashboard of the things that we were able to do last quarter. So a ton of content, a ton of webinars, partner activities, training sessions, and those would be more the PMM, but definitely it's all part of sales engagement or sales enablement, and making them come up to speed. Tons of thought leadership, media coverage, earned and paid speaking opportunities, which are all virtual, of course. And then I think actually the last one, sort of the most exciting, is that we've been able to boost our follower count on social media because we've been so much more active. Previously, social was really just sort of a check the box thing. Okay, we posted it to social, but now this is really the first time that we're using it as a channel in and of itself and something to be cultivated. But I really can't stress enough. The other things that I wouldn't show on here would be. Or just wouldn't be for public consumption, would be, we would track opportunities that marketing has driven, and opportunities that marketing has influenced as well. We have a few different ways in Salesforce to kind of to track that information, but to really make sure that you're elevating what marketing is contributing and how marketing can, I feel like as a marketer, it's I've run into some things recently where they want to see activity. They want to see and I say the executives. They want to see these how much is happening. But as a marketer, that hurts me because I really want to focus on strategy and what is the strategy and how is it contributing to the business. And measurement is really the way that you can tie it all together. It's yes, we did we had this much activity that drove this much business, and here's why that all worked with the strategy. I believe. But yeah, that is my quick rundown of what we're doing at marketing, or doing at LiveRamp in marketing. But I'm happy to take any questions.
Yeah, sure. So I have a question to start off. And maybe if we go back to our, stop sharing. There you go. Cool. So I've started poking around in LinkedIn a little more and throwing content in there. And I feel like there was this period of time where about a year or two ago where all of a sudden there was a bunch of content in LinkedIn and it was kind of all over the place, and it just sort of wasn't, it was like a little bit of the Wild West.
Yeah.
And now it feels like people are being more intentional about it. And I'd just be curious as to like how you're thinking about that and what you've seen be most effective in that ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think what you said, I think you nailed it in terms of just of being, I feel like people are being like more authentic a little bit, and it's not, yes, it's self-promotional. It's like, I wrote this article, or we published this article and all that kind of stuff. But I think that it's just it's having a bit of like a renaissance in terms of actually being a place to meet and to converse and kind of have that conversation. So, I mean, I think that in general, like we've seen that folks who actually try to cultivate their persona there, it's not just sharing their own things. It's also just sharing other people's things. It's kind of like going back to the beginning of social media and like, how can you like boost each other? And, everyone, like it's kind of a, what's the word? Like a self-propagating kind of system, flywheel, maybe, where if you're promoting other people's stuff, they'll promote yours, and trying to be kind of be good for everybody.
Gotcha. And I have another question about your content production.
Yeah.
You may have certain executives that are great writers and love to write and will definitely put some out there. They have lots of ideas for video or whatever, and others that, maybe that's just not their thing, or the time involvement. How do you, how does content happen from a production standpoint? And do you leverage any third partners? Like, do you have somebody ever like talk to a ghostwriter? Does your team do it? How does that actually get created?
That's a great question. I mean, LiveRamp's a big company now, so we're, I think, about like 1,500 people. We have a lot of executives, and luckily we have a fair amount of marketing resources. So most of our writing that is done and published by our CEO, by our executive team, is ghostwritten. So we'll generally do we have a content team. We have we have three people now who are writers, and they will generally, sometimes it's, you do a briefing. It's like, hey, we've got this opportunity. So we want to, pick this executive's brain about this topic. And we would, set up a briefing and kind of do a brain dump, and then they'd go back and write the article and then kind of edit it from there. Other times it's more proactive, where it's a campaign that we're working on, and we want to have a blog series or something like that, and so we will map out what that content will look like, and then kind of run it past them and say, do you sign off on this to be published under your name, kind of thing. So it's definitely almost rarely at this point do we have them trying to write their own material. Right. Just not the best use of their time. Right. Even now I've been working with a lower level SME, and it's been so much back and forth just of trying, I think he's trying to help in terms of doing a first draft, but it's almost would be easier if he just gave bullets, because we're trying, we just know how much time he must have invested in like trying to write this like manifesto. You're
not hopping on his sales calls. So,
yeah, exactly.
Everybody has a craft, and as a writer, I totally understand that if it's what you do all the time,
Yeah.
it's going to come a lot easier.
Yeah.
One other question I have about that in relationship to individual persona versus company persona, and how do you monitor or regulate or inspire or what have you? Like, I'm sure people have their own accounts, and even from an executive perspective, like, you may be pushing stuff out in conjunction with executives, but they're all on LinkedIn anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Do you monitor? Are there classes or seminars or policies? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I can actually speak to something that's kind of interesting on this. Maybe it's a slight diversion, but generally with our executives, we hope that we encourage them to repost. When we have an article or something we want them to share, we we'll send out like sample tweets and sample LinkedIn posts, like for how they could share something. We also use a system called GaggleAmp, which it kind of gamifies social posting, and so we've got I think it's 50 people at the company who who we've noticed have some following already themselves, and so encourage them to continue to keep posting all of the LiveRamp stuff. I haven't noticed anything we haven't had any kind of dust ups with people posting anything that isn't up to snuff, but or kind of coming in conflict with their personal life, with their professional life. One thing we had though was Ari Paparo at Beeswax did this ad tech madness thing, which was this big Twitter voting during quarantine. It was kind of fun. Everyone got involved from different companies, had people voting, trying to encourage it. And at one point, our executives said that they would match. They were going to donate in dollars for every vote that we had through vote that day, I guess, in the ad tech business thing. And somebody posted that to Twitter, and it wasn't an executive or anything. It was somebody who was pretty new to the company, and it kind of blew up. And then it was actually LiveRamp versus my old company, LiveIntent, which was kind of hilarious. And it was this whole thing, and it was really stressful for the company. We had people who thought that it was really in poor taste that we would gamify or try to why aren't we making donations anyway? All of that stuff. Also, it's isn't it just good that we're making donations? So there were so many different ways to splice it. It was something that was supposed to be internal and not be externally motivated. But it was a stressful day for the PR team and trying to handle it. But I think kind of coming out of that, we've made a little bit more of a conscious effort to say, what is internal only and kind of what making things clearer as when you can share things externally. But just kind of keeping on the pulse. I think it's a lot about culture and values and making sure that, those things are aligned.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
One question that I got on the side here from, we actually have another public question. Actually, I'll invite this user and then I'll follow up with the side question that I got. This is from David, who has a question and just got an invite, but maybe he's camera shy. That's totally fine. The question is, can you speak more about how you use your SDR and BDR teams to promote and share content?
Yeah, definitely. So we use them to amplify our thought leadership and kind of continue to keep in touch with warm prospects. Maybe they're not fully ready to take a sales meeting yet, but let's kind of keep them engaged. They also use that content as part. We use a tool called SalesLoft, which helps the SDRs kind of keep cadences of emails that get sent to their audiences. And so they can build that kind of content into those cadences. And then some of the content, if it's a downloadable or something from our website, will also help us create MQLs. So if it's once we get that form fill, then they'll kind of process to be an MQL, and then it'll be the SDR team will get that alert that we have a new MQL and it's time to reach out for a meeting or whatnot as well. So kind of look at it like throughout the funnel of bottom to top of what of content at different stages and how the SDRs could leverage it. And we try to get feedback from them as well, because what's working, what's not. We have a monthly session where someone from the SDR team comes into the marketing team meeting to just kind of to share what they're hearing in the market, what's popular, what's kind of coming up a lot. So that way we can make sure we're keeping a finger on the pulse from them as well.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, listen, I don't want to take too much time out of your work day, but we really, really appreciate spending time with us. And just so everybody knows, is there like a target size customer for LiveRamp, just in case anybody is sort of poking around the site and wants to get a sense of like who this works for?
Yeah, we're definitely focused on the more of the enterprise market right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the best way that I can think of off the top of my head to gauge that would be that it's, your media spend has to be a certain amount to make it worth it to have this like added on extra layer of kind of investment in your marketing technology. Although we do have kind of a network of resellers and partners who kind of bring the best of what we have to a smaller scale audience, because it's easier for them to service and use all of that. Good stuff.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, thanks a lot, and enjoy the rest of your day. It was good to see you.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Talk to you soon.